Welcome. I want to welcome those that have joined us for the Outgrowing QuickBooks and Activate 7 times it's time to upgrade. Go ahead and jump right in. So just a few introductions, and then we'll get into an agenda. My name is Dakota May. I am the CRO with Firefly Business Group. I have over 15 years of experience working with small and medium-sized businesses in the distribution and manufacturing space, sort of address their operations and ERP requirements. And Michelle, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Oh, Michelle Barr, the president of Firefly Business Group. Been doing this for quite a long time and excited to show you a little bit about a product that we've been part of with Acumatica since 2018 and have had very successful deployments with it.
Great. Okay, so just as the agenda, so what we'll do, we'll start off by talking a little bit about what we see as limitations for QuickBooks and Activate. We will also talk about sort of that case for an ERP solution. And then we will use Acumatica as sort of that basis for understanding what does an ERP look like. We'll jump into that demo, and then we'll have a Q&A to sort of wrap that up at the end. Now, a little bit about background with Firefly. It was founded in 2010. Michelle Barr is the co-founders. We have over 150 clients that kind of stretch across multiple systems, Activate and Acumatica both included there. And we do, as an organization, we do support both Activate, so clients that are on Activate in QuickBooks, clients that are also, as they kind of outgrow that solution, they look for that more robust, complete ERP solution, Acumatica, as well as Simply Food, which is a food manufacturing ERP vertical that is built on top of the Acumatica platform. Now, us as an organization, we do focus on clients that do both distribution and manufacturing. We actually do have a bit of a focus on food-based businesses, food production businesses, because of Simply Food, but also I know even going back to Activate, Activate has a pretty strong focus on food and beverage businesses as well. We also work with clients that are doing both B2B and B2C. Maybe they start with distribution, but they're also looking at doing a little bit of B2C, so they may add in something like Shopify or Amazon. They're looking for that ability to also go directly to the client. Now, kind of transitioning and talking about what we see, and when I phrase this as shortfalls, this isn't necessarily a topic of why QuickBooks and Activate are bad solutions, because they're not. They're great solutions. They work great for organizations up to a certain extent. All we're looking at and focusing on today are what are those key signs, what are those limitations that can plague organizations where you really need something more. You have in effect outgrown QuickBooks, and what else is out there? What else should you be focused on and looking at to ensure that your business is able to continue to grow and continue to be successful? And so what we often see are some what I'll call limitations of a QuickBooks Activate solution. So we'll start off by talking a little bit about database stability. Now, we see this with primarily with the desktop version of Enterprise and Premier of QuickBooks, where as clients are experiencing growth, they're running more data, and that data maybe starts in Activate and is being synced into QuickBooks. And as that data file within QuickBooks grows, we see it starts to have issues such as it starts to get a little bit slower. And there's also some what we see or we commonly refer to as corruption. Now, you can kind of identify this if you see things like where your balance sheet is just not balancing on an ongoing basis, and so you're having to constantly address that. We see this where clients are having to address this almost on an annual basis, where they're continuously having to rebuild files, sometimes completely restart files. And so that just becomes a bit of an ongoing issue, a bottleneck with your business and its ability to continue to function efficiently. Disconnected systems often refers to, as you are growing as an organization, you need more than QuickBooks, so you add Activate. You need more than Activate to do things maybe that go beyond that. Then you continue to add on new systems. Now, that's not always a bad thing. An integrated solution can offer a lot of great tools, a lot of great additional functionality you may need. However, when you're working with multiple solutions where there's no clear center, there's no clear source of truth for your data, it becomes very difficult to manage which systems are integrated to which. You have 5 different systems you're sort of juggling. Are they all supposed to integrate together, or one integrated to 2 different ones, and so on? All of a sudden you get into this kind of web of weird integrations. And so it can be difficult for you to grow as an organization when that's the foundation. That leads to a couple of things that I also kind of identify here as limitations, things like scalability. How do you go if you're already identifying that that's kind of your current makeup for your organization and what the operations are running on? If you all of a sudden grow 40%, 50%, 100% over the next year or two, can that system withhold that type of growth? Is it built for that? And then limited functionality. If you're already having to add additional systems, because each system that you've added on just handles its own. QuickBooks is for financials. Activate is for inventory and order management. As you add on additional tools, that sort of becomes the answer. You always have to go beyond because you've maxed out what you can do within your current systems. So now you have that limited functionality that is always being addressed by that next system, which then comes back to kind of doubling down on, well, now it's another system. I have to figure out how it's supposed to integrate and communicate. How's my team supposed to benefit from that? So when we think about looking under the hood and trying to understand what are the signs that kind of lead to those limitations that I was just mentioning, things like, I think the obvious one is growing transaction volume. Obviously, if your business is getting bigger, you're gonna have more transactions. That's just a workload that leads to those, whether it's the database issues or so on. The next is talking about manual processes. As you are sort of adding on new systems and doing integrations, there can be gaps that you have to create new SOPs, new processes. You have to jump into Excel to like pull together information across 2 different systems because neither one really handles it well. And all of a sudden you just have a lot of these additional things you have to do outside of the system or systems that you're using. That can be a bit of a limitation, a bit of a sign that's showing that you really have outgrown what you're using today. The multiple data silos, and obviously if there's no central, that means each one is holding all of that data that it needs, which means you're also kind of copying that data over and over again. Now you have 4, 5, 6 systems that are all holding potentially sensitive data. And is that really good from a data security standpoint? So obviously that's not very conducive. Also, it makes it difficult from a reporting standpoint. You cross-report across multiple applications. If the integration is doing summarized data, then you're really not able to pull all of the information you need in order to make decisions on a daily or weekly basis. Growing number of employees, and growing number of employees isn't a bad thing. Oftentimes when you look at that as almost like a metric for health for your organization, you want to grow. But what we look at is inefficient hiring to do things like manual processes. If you are having to hire somebody in to do manual keyed in data or copying from one system to the next or to fix Excel file errors, then you're really getting into where there's a much higher cost associated to addressing all of the band-aids that you've created. And that's not necessarily very efficient. So we want to move that. That's obviously something that you would want to look at addressing so that you could get that to be more efficient. Multiple branches, multiple locations, your business is getting more complex. You're looking to find customers in different places, and so you continue to grow. So that can be something that can be a sign that you're really outgrowing where you're at. Your organization is becoming more complex. More than likely, your financials are getting more complex too. Now, that could be within that single company that has multiple branches and locations, and the way you're sort of handling it, both operationally and financially, you're trying to report on it properly, make sure you're marrying or pulling the data from one system to another to make sense of it financially. But it could also be if you've gone through acquisitions, or if you just have multiple companies today and you're needing to both manage them operationally, but also still consolidate financial information across those companies so you can have a single view. That's obviously something that we see as a sign where you need something more robust. And then kind of last as that kind of that last sign is you are aware of that you are running up against newer, larger competitors. And you say, well, why does that, how do I know that? And what exactly does that mean for me? Well, if they're larger than you, they may be more resourced than you. If they have more resources, they have more money, they may have already thrown that money or addressing some of these things that you're now plagued with. If they're already over that and they've deployed and they're taking advantage of modern technology, they're going to be more automated, more efficient, more productive. That means they'll more than likely be able to get to the same clients that you're targeting faster. And is that really conducive for your own growth story? So something that you would want to account for. And so that leads me to the case for an ERP. And what does that mean? So the best way that I can think of is starting this is if you have not spent a lot of time looking at ERPs, you might want to just know what is an ERP. So we'll start with a little bit of a definition. So we look at an ERP as a platform that is designed to bring all of your core functions of your business into a single system, so that you're not necessarily having one system for financials and another system for most of your operations. Now, what does something like this do when you bring the core parts of your business into a single system? What does that do for you? We look at that and say, well, increased productivity. When users are able to use one system, they're not having to log in and out of multiple systems, and they don't have delays on how information is being synced or anything like that. They can be more productive. They also understand what they're supposed to do every day without necessarily having to go retrain, 2, 3, 4 different systems. Enhanced collaboration talks about or really refers to getting into things like where you have one department on one system, another department on another. There's sort of some syncing and some data that's moving, but they're really speaking two different languages because they're really functioning in two different systems. So when you have everybody in one system across all of your organization, all of your core departments, then all of a sudden everybody can really collaborate at a much faster, higher level. And that leads directly into real-time insights because everything is in one system now, and it's all in real time. So now you have at your fingertips access to all of that information that is important for you to make decisions on every single day, every single week, and so on. And then we do mention data security for ERP because, of course, when you bring everything into one system, you no longer are copying and moving sensitive data in and out of many different systems. You have one system that's designed as that single source of truth to control that. And that single source of truth is oftentimes modern ERPs are built in the cloud. And so you are dealing with state-of-the-art architecture that helps support and protect that data. So then transition a little bit and talk about, okay, well, we've talked about some limitations with QuickBooks and Acctivate. Maybe hit on what an ERP is. Well, what does that look like in the real world, right? So that's where we wanted to talk a little bit about Acumatica. So Acumatica was founded in 2008. That's important because it was actually written, it was an application written for the cloud. It wasn't something that was rewritten from a perpetual-based on-premise solution, which can oftentimes plague development organizations on how fast they can deploy and update and deliver, up-to-date technology. So Acumatica being built in that framework means it's able to deliver and keep your organization up to date with that modern technology, that modern approach. Now it does this in addition to, it also focuses exclusively on small and medium-sized businesses. It's not focused on organizations that are at the enterprise level where it diverts its focus to please those types of clients that are nothing like your business. So when it's able to and hyper-focused on businesses like yours, as they are pushing out new updates and looking at delivering, modern technology, things like AI, you would want to ensure that that is being tailored for your business. And that's where that focus comes in. Acumatica being hyper-focused on that small, medium-sized business grouping. Now, one other thing that it does really well is the way it builds its community and the way it goes to market. So Acumatica is focused on working exclusively through partners like Firefly. Now, this allows Acumatica to be very, very focused on supporting, developing, managing the platform, delivering on stability, security, and those modern updates. And then it relies on its partners like Firefly to deliver on expertise, an understanding of your business. You're not going to be relegated to working with an individual straight out of college. Not saying that that's not good, but oftentimes they don't have the expertise to understand your business at a level that is obviously going to allow you to be the most successful. And so that's what Firefly brings to the table as a partner with Acumatica. Now, kind of back this up with, what does that mean? Where's that success coming from? So since 2008, Acumatica has over 10,000 clients, over 270 ISVs, which is a developer community, a fast-growing developer community. But the best thing I can kind of throw out there as a testament to its success is its Net Promoter Score. So if you have experience of what a Net Promoter Score is, it's sort of a measurement to understand how satisfied clients are with their choice to both move forward and continue to use that application. So a plus 34 is, by all intents and purposes, elite. In fact, any competitor that you would kind of look at or compare to Acumatica won't even come close. They'll be in the single digits, maybe the teens. So Acumatica leads this by quite a bit, and how happy clients are with their choice and their decision to utilize and be able to find success using the Acumatica platform. Now, you're kind of hitting on, well, what's some of that value? What is it delivering? Well, one, it is delivering cloud. And that, for an organization, if you have some applications that are cloud, you'll kind of understand this. But when you have kind of many different applications, some are cloud, some are sort of hybrid cloud, maybe some are on-premise, you have to manage your own server and so on. Obviously, the cloud really allows you to have that, one, full availability and security. And you never have to worry about downtime, your server going down, things like that. Your team, wherever your team is, has that accessibility. Now, that goes directly into remote collaboration and mobility. So remote collaboration, your team, whether you have one office, two offices, you have some individuals that are hybrid, they're working from home, guys that go on the road, team members that are on the road, maybe doing sales, they need access to that system wherever they are. That's where that mobility comes in. It also comes back to that collaboration, because now everybody is always in sync, always has the latest information. Kind of throw out a few quotes from our existing team members or clients that have migrated from QuickBooks and Acctivate to Acumatica, talking about their experience, kind of what their benefit was. Then I'll hit on, wanted to touch on that developer community a little bit, talk about embedded integrations. Now, obviously at its very core, and I mentioned this earlier, integrations aren't bad. You want to be able to, sometimes you need access to best-in-class applications, and there are many great applications out there. And it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Acumatica to try to reinvent every single one. So, and any ERP will follow that. So things like Avalara for sales tax compliance, or HubSpot for CRM, Shopify kind of leading on the e-commerce front. You might want to take advantage of those solutions. So you obviously want to ensure that any solution that you evaluate has a very strong API. Acumatica has that open API, both for ones that are already partners and have already done development on those integrations, or maybe those that haven't yet, but it's still fully accessible. We've had clients come to us, and most 95% of their requests are supported. We can go through those integrations. But sometimes we do talk about, well, if we really need to make sure that there's an integration that is kind of unorthodox, maybe you're utilizing something that doesn't necessarily have a lot of integrations itself, something that we can have those conversations. Embedded integrations are sort of the best of both worlds, though. It's where you have solutions or tools that are actually built within the application itself. So it feels like some or all of the functions, the steps, the processes that you do, you still exist within Acumatica. Now, you may still jump into, like Shopify, you still create your website and you still manage your orders and things like that in the cloud, but a lot of that can be synced directly into, bidirectionally synced directly into Acumatica to make that process a lot faster and easier. And I'll kind of touch on a few more things before I hand it off to Michelle to kind of show us some of the ropes. But the customer focus that comes from Acumatica, and I wanted to hit on this because kind of going under the hood when it comes to that Net Promoter Score. And you ask, well, what are some of those defining qualities? And I'll mention a few things that I see that often work really well, very valuable for clients. One is talking about an unlimited user model. Obviously, we want, and you do too, you want all of your users in your organization utilizing the system. You don't want to make sacrifices for financial, cutting financial costs. So we want you to have everybody in. That gives you that full collaboration across your whole business. And so that is something that Acumatica really pushes hard on, is to ensure that the whole organization has access regardless of how the system is priced. The flexible deployments, something that Firefly is a bit unique on, but how we work with Acumatica on is we do fixed deployment costs where we take that cost and we spread it over 12 months so that when you get started, what you often see are high costs, high lump sum costs up front to get started in an ERP. That's not the case. You can actually get started for low cost and you pay that over, oftentimes it's 12 months. Acumatica contracts are 12 months as well. And it just makes a lot of sense, both from reducing that initial cost, but also helping ease it, giving you more flexibility from a cash flow standpoint to be able to take advantage of a solution like Acumatica. Your data is your data. So Acumatica never holds that data hostage. If you've worked with organizations that different software organizations over time, you might find that sometimes getting data out, especially if you move from one system to another, that oftentimes is very difficult. They hold it hostage. They don't want you to leave. They want you to stay with their application forever. They increase the cost 30, 40, 50% over year. They want to have you feel stuck. Well, that's not Acumatica's model. It's very focused on ensuring that your data is fully accessible to you whenever you need it, initially on an ongoing basis, or if you do decide, if your business changes and you find that there's a better solution out there and you need to move on, we understand that, and you'll have full access to your data without feeling like you're being held hostage. And then the last thing I'll mention is the honest and transparent pricing. What we do is we often look at and we put together a package for you, but we look at what that cost should be year over year. Oftentimes we look for the first 3 years what that cost should be, but year over year, Acumatica really prides itself on making sure that you are fully aware of what those cost changes are, and there are even price caps to ensure that you understand and can plan for that price over time, and you're not necessarily scared off or surprised by a 40% increase year over year. And then lastly, I'll mention Acumatica does offer a great resource called Open University. When you talk about adding on new employees to your team, you also look at that as an additional cost. You'll have your own training costs, getting those individuals up and running. Acumatica is focused on delivering those resources at no cost. So the Open University is a great way to get up and running and learn how to use the system initially and on an ongoing basis, and that helps reduce that growth, the cost of growth for your organization. With that, I will go ahead and hand it off to Michelle, and I'll let her jump in.
Okay, great. That was a very good overview, Dakota. I appreciate all of that. And today I'm going to just go through a very quick order to invoice, just a little bit of some of the navigation within Acumatica, and then just to kind of show you the integration. But something that resonates with a lot of our Activate customers, which is the processing of an order. There are so many functionality and features within Acumatica. My mind just spins trying to figure out what to show the customers. And so the best way to handle anything outside of this would be to schedule a private demo to where we can understand a little bit more about your needs and then go through and show you the features that are very specific to your organization. So please don't think that because I didn't show a feature in the demo today that it doesn't exist. It would actually take me many, many hours to go through and demo every functionality within Acumatica, if not days. There's just a lot there, and I've tried to pick the features that resonate the most for you. I am going to go off camera because I am going to be looking at a couple other screens, and we will get started. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with a just a generic dashboard within Acumatica. There are many different dashboards that come with the system that we will help deploy. We also commonly will customize dashboards for each of our customers, and not just one customer, but the roles within the customer. So you can see that these would be roles, the accounting team, the inventory team, the production team, just wherever we need to customize to get the look and feel that you need. The dashboard that I have today set up is the warehouse manager, which is going to show me different key indicators. You can see that anything that is green is probably good. This is customizable. We can go with multiple different colors. Red is to bring your attention. You can see all sorts of different interactive graphs that you can drill into for any of the data as well. One of the things that you can do on the dashboard, you can see this is a multi-warehouse system. So I can, this would be all warehouses at once. If I really want to just drill into just the wholesale warehouse, we should get a refresh and see that these numbers have changed. We do that a lot with customers as well. If we're looking at different customer statistics from a sales analysis or receivables analysis, et cetera. I'm going to back that back out and go back to all locations. And I'm going to drill into just one of these widgets, which opens up one of the very powerful tools within Acumatica, which is called a generic inquiry. Generic inquiry is as I mentioned, a reporting tool. It will allow you to have all of your data in a very nice, tidy grid that allows us to do filtering. So we can quickly filter any of the data. So we can, clear statuses and just select certain statuses, reselect them all. We can do date filtering, do ranges from this date to this date. We can do dollar filtering, as well as just typing. So if I wanted to say I want to see Alta Ace, then it's going to limit what we see on the screen. If I did something with an amount, I can do a descending, see the largest amount first. Every generic inquiry in the system is built this way. It allows you to add the columns that you need. And if they don't already exist in here, then they could be customized. So this is just a tool that's built using SQL queries to grab whatever data the customer may need. I go back to the main site. I want to show you that Acumatica can do multi-company, multi-branch within one tenant. It's quite a mouthful of different words, but what that does, it allows you to set restrictions, involve other locations, other financial entities to all participate in one database. End result is consolidated financial reporting. And we could do restrictions across. So this is a three company, 4 branch setup to where we can switch between each one, get an individual financial statement on one, and or combine it. They can combine customers, vendors, chart of accounts, and items. So we don't need to manually set that up within each tenant or each setup. You can also do what's called intercompany transactions. So I could do sales order to purchase order between 2 branches or 2 companies, which is very beneficial for companies that do have multiple locations. A couple other navigation functionalities is each user can have their own favorites. If we favorite certain topics, then it builds your own dashboard. And I'm going to also walk through each of the different workspaces. And I'm going to pause on each workspace so you can see the menu items that I want you to see. I took off a lot of the menu items. They are accessible to different users, to where, let's say this user itself, I want to take off the European consolidation because it does not apply, and I can exit, and then it removes those. So all of the widgets, is what we like to call these, are customizable to where your menus, what you have, you can add more of these, take away per user within the system. I'll hover next over banking. Banking does allow to manage all of your bank accounts, as well as the download and do daily transaction reconciliation. You could do credit card processing and any kind of banking needs that you need. You have typical payables, paying by check, or you can do batch payments via ACH, which would be the electronic version. And you can also integrate with other third parties to do automated bill payments. Receivables. All of your accounts receivable after the sales have processed, same thing. You could do automated ACH. You can, prepare your statements, send off your statements. Just normal accounts receivable functionality is right here within the system. We're going to pop into sales orders. So I'm going to skip over that. We're going to do purchasing. You could do requisitions. Just normal purchase orders, email them, all your vendor pricing, blanket purchase orders. Under inventory, we have automated operations, so that would be the scanning functionality. We have replenishment functionality, as well as physical inventory count. And I do want to clarify that everything I am showing you right now is out of the box functionality. There are additional modules that you can add on, such as marketing and opportunities, which is under the CRM options as well. One of the favorite things that we like to do is we also like to do a universal search, which is by vendor. I'm sorry, I didn't explain that. A universal search is a functionality where I can search anything in the system, any kind of name. I could do a customer name, I could do an invoice number. And the reason why I'm typing in vendor is because I wanted to point out that it shows up on all the tabs. So this is the menus where the word vendor will show up. These are transactions where vendor is showing up. So it is searching multiple places within the database. This would be help topics where vendors would show up. So built into Acumatica, there are many different out-of-the-box help topics that a user can grab. And then files. We have the ability for AP document recognition, as well as just dragging any kind of file you want into the system. And again, it is searching for the word vendor to show me the different PDFs, JPEGs, anything that has been stored within the Acumatica system. I promised you I would come back to sales orders, so I'm going to come here, pause for a second, and show that we have, sales orders, shipments, all sorts of automated processing, which I'm going to pop back into reporting. If it is not a generic inquiry, which is for reporting, you can do just reports that are a lot heavier functionality, which is kind of very similar to Crystal, but it's a built-in report writer within the Acumatica system. Let's go ahead and do a new sales order. And it does have the type ahead functionality. So if I typed in AA, it's going to look for anything that has the letters AA and make some suggestions. Within Acumatica, we also have what's called side panels. Side panels allow us to connect other screens to this one particular screen that I'm on and provide additional information, such as this side panel is going to show all the invoices that this customer has due at this moment in time. You can add your own side panels to pretty much any screen within the system as well. Typical sales order processing, we could do multi-currency, we could turn that off. You could do project accounting if needed. It can confirm and check for customer order numbers already in the system. We can come down here and start adding the item feature to the item. I'm going to restrict to the wholesale warehouse and show you another option, which is the sold cents. The sold cents is going to allow me to look at this one customer history and to see what they have purchased. Let's go back a little further. So from the wholesale warehouse, this customer has purchased these items. They have quite the variety with a little bit of food and Legos and laptops. When they last purchased it, the quantity they purchased, and the unit price that they paid. In addition, it's showing me what I have on hand today. I can go ahead and just check this off and say I want to give them possibly 2 Lego sets and 1 laptop, add and close, and it will then go ahead and add these items to this order for me. It's going to bring in my pricing. The pricing itself does use it does do volume discounts. It can do customer specific pricing, customer group pricing, very complex capabilities within the pricing setup. You can go ahead and mark for PO if you wanted to do a drop shipment. Let me slide this over to see if I have anything else. I have salespeople. Margin is showing on the screen. And if there's certain columns that I do want to highlight or see or remove, I have more columns within the system that I can add or take away. Let's say I'm not a customer that does discounts. I can remove those two. I like the margin to show, so I'm going to go ahead and pop those up next to the amount. Oops, I forgot one. Move that up and hit OK. And this is all per user that they can configure the, where did it go? Oh, here it is. They can configure the screen for each of the individual user. I'm going to mention also the quantities at the bottom, so you can see per line what is available, what is shipping, and allow me to kind of see one item at a time what I can go ahead and ship. It does have the ability to do sales tax within the system, or you can add in Avalara if you'd like. We can do commissions within the system. A little bit of financial information, how this is going to be paid. You can also require deposits on any of the orders. You can have different delivery settings. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a ship via for this order. You have your FOBs. I'm going to show you how that's going to work here in a little bit later. You can do overriding on your addresses. I did mention that you can set in discounts. You could do group discounts based on the entire order, or based on certain products within the order. If one order has multiple shipments, it would show here, would show each of the shipments as they happen. You can enter payments. You can go ahead and enter your payment manually by creating a payment. You can also do what's called a payment link. I do not have that set up this time. I will set up a demo in the future with that. But what a payment link allows us to do is, instead of us asking the customer for their credit card or ACH information, what it'll do is allow me to send them a link to where they can pay the deposit on the sales order, even post sales order, maybe within, once it's in an invoice status, send them a link. They will pay off off of the link, either ACH or credit card. They don't have to give me the information. And not only does the payment automatically end up in my bank, but it also ends up within Acumatica to close out either the AR invoice and or just associate the payment to the sales order automatically. Pretty cool functionality. The totals here, I'm going to go ahead and show you the totals of this order, what the weight is going to be, the volume, the freight price, if I've shot for rates here, but I'm going to shop for rates within the shipment. Go ahead and save that information. One of the nice features I can select, I'm just going to show you the screen, is called a quick process. The quick process allows you to select what you may want to process within one click. So I can have it create a shipment. I can go ahead and have it create a shipment and print the pick list. Whether or not I confirm the shipment is optional. Print labels, prepare invoices, etc. So these are all user defined. If it's something that you want to automatically, quickly, I guess, would be the option to process the shipment. One last thing I wanted to show you before I leave this screen is the item availability. The item availability is going to allow me to see the allocations for this item in this warehouse. I'm not sure if this item is allocated anywhere else. It is not, but it would show me all the orders and everything that is putting demand on this item at this point in time. From here, I'm going to go ahead and show you a process screen. A process screen allows you to manage multiple orders, shipments, invoices all at one time. And this particular one, I'm going to just drop this down and let you kind of see some of the things that we can do. These are create and capture. I can do credit card transactions and mass process. I can prepare invoices directly if it doesn't go through a shipment. Or in this case, what I want to do is I want to create shipments. And it allows me to filter this further. Let's say I only want to do a certain warehouse one at a time. I could do that, or through a particular date. So I'm going to go ahead and select the new one that I did earlier, and let's just select this older one and process them together. Or I could have selected process all and it grabs the entire batch. Another thing that you can do on this screen is you can add what's called an automation. And any screen that has this like kind of clock looking and there's many of them. If you add an automation schedule, you can set to do this action for you on a time schedule. So it will allow you to say, this is to create shipments every hour. And I can set how often it's going to happen, what to keep in history. I want this to be daily. I'm sorry. Yes, daily and every hour. I can set certain conditions if I would like, and that would be different fields that I want it to recognize, maybe certain order types. Within Acumatica, we can do custom order types. And so I want to limit to only automatically create shipments for certain orders. Possibly your EDI orders don't need eyes on them, so we can have a different order type for EDI orders versus if I wanted to manually process the other types of orders that come in, and other filter values that may make sense that you would want to do. I only want to do things that are out a certain number of dates, etc. So that's what an automation schedule would look like. We use them a lot when we deploy. We also use something called business events, which is a business event is kind of like an automation that is set up based on a trigger of a certain event. So those are kind of customizable. You can write a query based on certain data and then have it possibly create the shipment for you based on a certain criteria. It's a lot more powerful than this type of automation schedule. So this is maybe once an hour where a trigger could be based on certain information within that order, maybe a certain customer, something of that nature. Once I have my shipments created, I would go to the shipment screen and I can see all the shipments that are in here ready to process at this time. So let's go back to this particular one. I think actually what it did was it went ahead and ran the automation schedule and created a few more shipments for me. So I was having trouble finding it. So this is the order that I created. It automatically tells it. So this is the nice thing that's different than Acumatica than Activate. It's a different process to where I can have multiple shipments per order and I can manage those shipments, and each of those shipments can create their own invoice, and I could see the trail. It is automatically set the locations of where this item is stored. It's automatically allocated. If you do lot and serial numbering, it can automatically suggest to the pickers what they want to pick. This is where scanning could come in as well, and any kind of other possibly packaging. It auto-packaged the items as well. When I go to the shipping tab, I had selected the Shopify shipping, and I could shop for rates here. I could shop for rates in the quoting process, or I could shop for rates in the shipping process. It does have a really nice integration for LTL shipments as well, if that's something that's important to you besides the small parcel packages. And so you can see that I have different choices of what I want to, how I want to ship this. Let's just say I select this UPS ground. Then what's going to happen is that $35 is going to go into a freight cost field here. It will allow to set up a shipping term if I wanted to, a certain shipping term that says whether it's cost and freight plus handling, and it should automatically, if it's set up correctly, would add to the price, the freight price to charge your customer based on the cost. Different options that we can do there. Once I confirm my shipment, it will go ahead and generate a labels right within the system and allow me to do any kind of emails to the customer with the tracking information and to let them know that the shipment is on its way. Another process screen I might go into is the process shipment screen. Again, I have an action list. I could print all the packing slips. There was another one in between. I could print my picking tickets. Oh, actually, here it is right here. You could do drop shipments. Drop shipments are pretty cool within the system because once you receive in a drop shipment from your vendor, it automatically sets it up to process the invoice to where you don't have to go back and find them. So it will allow you to prepare all the dropship invoices once the receipt is recorded from your vendor. This time we're going to go ahead and just prepare invoices. We're going to process all. A little bit of a time there for one invoice. I think it's because I just didn't use this screen earlier today. It is caching as I go. And then if I go to my invoices screen, everything that is created is showing here. I have an opportunity to make any changes if I'd like. It's in a balanced state, or I could set up another automation schedule to go ahead and automate those invoices. Very similar screens, very similar processes. Everything has a plus at the top. For the entire invoice, pluses at the bottom, and very similar tabs throughout. If I go ahead and release this, one last thing I want to show you is that not only is it recording, it's removing inventory 100% right now. The prior status of the shipment, it actually allocated inventory, made sure I couldn't sell it to anybody else. But this is a final release of inventory. And what it's going to do is it has created an accounts receivable entry and lastly, a journal entry for this particular invoice. I'm going to stop sharing, come back on camera and see if we have any questions today.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
We can.
Yes.
There you are.
Okay. All right. First of all, just thank you for your presentation today. Very informative. Just had a couple quick questions. First of all, with respect to data migration, are there any concerns with migrating data from two data sets like QuickBooks and Acctivate into one? Have you encountered any issues with that, or?
Do you mean from migrating from QuickBooks and Acctivate into Acumatica?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I would love to answer that question. Since we've done it many times, we already have the scripts written. A lot of the data that we're looking for is going to already be in the Activate tables. And so we will query all the information from Activate for you. It's part of our deployment. We have a list of all the different items that we will carry over. And we have import scenarios already set up in the system that can bring that data in. So it's going to be your vendors, your customers, your items, open accounts receivable, open accounts payable. We do have an invoice history table to bring in the historical invoices. And then otherwise from QuickBooks, all that we really pull is accounts receivable, accounts payable, and then your trial balances for many years. We will guide you through that process of what you would need to do, because sometimes there's a conversion if you end up using a little bit more complex chart of accounts than what QuickBooks does. We also bring in open sales order, open purchase order as well at Go Live.
Great. Okay. Good. Then just one more question I had is, one of the big things that we could really use as a company is some form of production scheduling ability. Does Acumatica have an operations type of module or something like that where we can track, labor costing and those type of things that Activate is very limited in doing?
There is a manufacturing edition. There's two different levels. There is a level that's more along the Activate assembly level that will allow you to do non-stock items for costing purposes or for standard cost. or you can look at the manufacturing edition. The manufacturing edition does have shop floor data collection. It does estimating, MRP out of the box, and it does have a scheduling connection as well that is for discrete manufacturers.
Okay, great. So the version that you were demoing today is just the standard. It's not, would the manufacturing be an add-on to what you were showing us today, or would it be a separate package?
I'm demoing the distribution package.
Okay.
The manufacturing is just going to basically open up another workspace and more functionality. So everything that you saw today, and then we add on. So if you remember me mentioning that I would hit the marketing and opportunity, that's the CRM module, right? So you add on that module. You would add on the manufacturing module, or we go the edition. We'll find the best pricing. There's two different ways to look at it, but basically it adds on a different workspace with different functionality. And we can certainly set up a private demo for you of that functionality.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's all I have.
Great. We appreciate your time today.
And just as a final wrap up, what we can do is we are recording this, so we will send this out in an on-demand format afterwards. So if you want to review anything that we cover today, then we can definitely do that. And as Michelle said, if you would like to have a more of a customized demonstration, a little bit more unique to your business, then we can definitely happy to do that on a one-on-one basis. Just let us know and we'll get that scheduled.